Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Yes, it is January 1st, 2017. And I kind of read what some people commented about when I talked about and typed up or not, or text, or basically vocally text, if you catch my drift, vocally typed. My discussion on basically it's been 5 years later, looking back at the Mecha Sally arc 5 years later, and a lot of people, I guess they want to know why we still bring it up or still talk about it sparingly, because of the fact that, hold on, sorry about that, but anyway, people wonder why me and others bring this up on occasions. It's because if you've been a long-time fan, you kind of still feel the effects of the Mecha Sally arc even to this day. You still see the remnants of what's been left from it. And what it is that, what the reason is for it is because it's just a story arc and an event that we just felt wasn't necessary. Or if it was necessary, it could have been done in a more proper way. We look at the Mecha Sally arc and we say to ourselves, why? Or we ask ourselves, why? I mean, when you think about it, now that it's 2017, this is the start of a full year run for that arc 5 years ago. Yeah. It may have started in 231 officially. At the end of 230, mostly and officially in 231, it may have started there. But throughout 2012 and midway through 2013, it ran. And this is going to mark 5 years since we had a full year of it back in 2012. And not a lot of people look at it with pride. I mean, there are those that say there were some good points and there were some great things. And I'm not going to say there wasn't. It's like I said, it started out promising, but as soon as they split up the teams, that was it. It pretty much got screwed up the a-hole, if you catch my drift. The thing is, the Mecha Sally arc could have had a lot more done with it, and I've mentioned what I said, and I mentioned what could have been done to make it better. But it's just a result of what's come from it. It's, we look at the result of what came from it and what was taken because of it. And it just upsets us. Well, it doesn't just upset us, it kind of upsets us, but it kind of makes us wonder why. Why was this arc even, made? If Ian Flynn, and I'm not saying he did, and I'm not saying he didn't, but if Ian Flynn had any indication whatsoever that something was happening behind the scenes that was going to alternate this story arc, then he should have just stopped it right there. He should have just done some kind of an issue, maybe take the freaking 242 Olympic issue, and use that as possibly a commentary with said characters like Sally and Sonic, and saying, hey, we know you were expecting, a continuation of this story, but due to circumstances, this story is now no more, and we're going to continue on with something different. If they would have just done something like that, I guarantee, in a sense, nobody would be arguing that much about the Mecha Sally arc. I mean, if they had gone and said, hey, this is, done some kind of commentary to the fans saying, hey, look, we can't continue this arc anymore because, certain story elements are going to be interrupted, we would have accepted it. We would have been cool with it. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. And to me, that's what upsets me the most. Like I said, it was just more along the lines of, if they would have just came up with some kind of commentary, maybe with 242, instead of giving us some kind of a backup story to concede with the arc, then I think it would have been more understanding, because then we'd be like, well, wait a minute. So, well, what I'm saying is that we would have been more understanding. Yeah, we would have asked the question, well, wait a minute, so they're ending it abruptly? But, if they would have given some kind of commentary through the characters, maybe with a backup story, we would have understood. We would have been like, oh, okay, there's something that happened behind the scenes, they can't do it anymore, so we're just going to act like it never happened, or just move on. And, if they would have done something like that in any kind of form, I think we would have been okay. But they didn't. And instead they just continued forward with it. And how do they end it? By having a Genesis wave that led into the first Mega Man crossover with Sonic. And then that's it. No resolve, nothing. No real resolve. All we had was the, Nicole, like I said in one article and video, on one video, and I did on YouTube, and article I did on DeviantArt and several forums, I said, Nicole was going to be the key, and she was. She was the key to getting the memories back, and so that's basically how you closed it out. And I think, if anything, that's what kind of upset a lot of fans, even to this day. It's like, we're feeling the remnants of it, and we're not getting any real conclusion. I mean, if you were to do something, hopefully they might do something with the Freedom Fighters Sonic Universe arc, but, with Sally teaming up with the Sega character, but it's like, if they don't do something to kind of bring full closure to it, have Sally at least confront Eggman and say, hey, have some kind of story where she confronts him and says, hey, I still have the memories of what you did to me from the other world, and now you're going to pay, or I'm going to get you back for that. Okay, fine. Give us, that will at least bring closure. Or at least have her be the one that destroys the roboticizer and says, gives out a line like, you'll never roboticize another person again. That can bring closure if they would just do that, but right now it doesn't look like it. And a lot of people will blame Ken Penders in the lawsuit, and they got the right to do that, but still, like, seriously, you could have really done something more with this arc. Could have done something more. You could have done it more properly, or at least if you knew, and again, I don't know if Ian Flynn knew or not, but even if he did, at least kind of give us some kind of a commentary in some kind of form, and say, hey, we can't continue doing the Mecha Sally arc anymore because of behind-the-scenes reasons. Some of the original plans were thrown out the window. If they would do that, that'd be great, but if they would have done that, that would have been great, but they didn't. But these are just things but this is just an example of why people like me still talk about it. Because you still see the remnants in the issues today. You still see what's going on. And I think more so is because we don't got no closure. It's like, where's the real closure? That's what we would want. So, if anybody's wondering, that's why me and other fans, and some fans, still talk about the Mecha Sally arc, even 5 years later.